Hey, Ashley.
Why is your skin purple?
Because I'm celebrating Netflix's new series, Jessica Jones.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with painting yourself purple?
Because her villain is the Purple Man. And it's a good thing that this geek history lesson on the Purple Man is now in session. Hello and welcome to Geek History Lesson. I'm Jason Purple Inman.
I am Ashley Victoria Robinson and prepare to enter your mind university because you have stumbled onto the podcast where we take one character, construct, or color from popular culture and teach you everything you need to know about it in about an hour.
Well, Ashley, this week, the episode is going to be quite purple.
Barney.
No, this has nothing to do with Barney, but same color. Well done.
Thank you.
This episode is going to be mainly purple because this episode is about the Purple Man, or as some people in the Marvel Comics universe calls him, Zebediah Killgrave.
As his close friends and family call him.
Yes, Zebediah Killgrave. This, of course, is to tie into the upcoming Jessica Jones Netflix series, Marvel's Jessica Jones, and David Tennant, the 10th Doctor himself, is playing the character. So before the Netflix series comes along and spoils you all about the Purple Man and tells you all about the Purple Man and how the Purple Man is wrong, let us tell you his comic book background.
Yes.
Yes. So let's hop into the first section of our podcast, the 10-cent origin.
Okay, the 10-cent origin is the part of the podcast where we give you the basic constructs, names, abilities, all the cool things you need to know for when you go to that Jessica Jones cocktail party and somebody says, who's the Purple Man?
Man, do you think there are going to be some, Netflix is high money. Do you think there are going to be some Jessica Jones, AKA Purple Man, cocktail parties?
I think those would be like really dark. So maybe.
We live in LA. I hope we get an invite to those.
Will you cosplay as Jewel?
You got it.
Okay.
I actually like the Jewel costume. So here we go. The 10-cent origin of Zebediah Killgrave. He is a Marvel Comics character. His first appearance was in Daredevil number 4 in October 1964. So he's quite an old character.
Wow, that's so interesting because Jessica Jones, as we'll talk about next week, is a very new character by comparison.
Yes. He was created by Stan Lee and Joe Orlando.
Joe Orlando.
Yep. And his alter ego, as I said, is Zebediah Killgrave. He is a mutant, or he's a human mutate, however you want to say that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the difference is he's a human mutate because he gets his powers from something, so he's like Spider-Man. But
he's a human who mutates. He's not born with the X
wasn't born.
gene.
Thank you. I confused myself on my own lesson, but thank you for coming in with the win.
That's okay. The Wasp was the same way.
His abilities are he's a skilled manipulator.
Okay.
He's a high-level intellect.
Why are all the superheroes and supervillains like geniuses? I didn't know there were that many high intellects going around in this world.
Because they must protect the world with science.
But I feel like even when we did like Kara Zor-El, it was like high-level intellect.
Well, it's because she's a Kryptonian from mind control. Zebediah Killgrave has mind control, and he has a regenerative healing factor. And the groups that he's been a part of have been the Villains for Hire, the Hoods Gang, and he was once the partner of Electro. You know Electro?
I do know who
the
Electro
Spider-Man
is.
Villain who throws electricity that Jamie Foxx played in the bad Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That we have a lesson on if people want to go and find it.
Yeah, we do. That's right.
You taught it.
iTunes and Stitcher. Now let's go on to the next section of our podcast, the Meetcute.
Yes, the Meetcute is a term that we stole from romantic comedy writing, where we tell you where we first met this character and how cute it was.
Well, Ashley, I first encountered the Purple Man, Zebediah Killgrave, when I was reading this series, this little-to-known series, the series that I don't think many people read, called New Avengers.
Oh, yeah, that little thing.
Yeah, written by Brian Michael Bendis. It actually was a big Marvel series because it was the first Avengers team that brought Wolverine on, that brought Spider-Man on.
That's right.
Brian Michael Bendis was like, let's treat the Avengers like the Justice League. It has the best heroes of the Marvel Universe, so why aren't Wolverine and Spider-Man Avengers?
And this was before the Marvel Cinematic Universe really took off, and everyone thought that Iron Man was the coolest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, this was like 2000s, 2003, 4-ish, somewhere in there. I'm not exactly certain, but yes, before Iron Man. So basically, that first series is the Raft, the supervillain prison that's like right off Manhattan.
Yes.
Which is, why would you put a supervillain prison right off Manhattan?
Right, you have a whole ocean waiting for you.
The Raft is broken apart, And the Purple Man is there. He's one of the raftees, as you would say. And thanks to some Googling and the reading of a series that he's very prominent in, Alias, I was able to find out who this guy was. That was the first time I encountered the Purple Man.
Cool.
Now, Ashley.
Jason.
Where have you encountered the Purple Man?
I first encountered the Purple Man when I knew that the Jessica Jones series was going to come to Netflix and that we were eventually going to do a Jessica Jones geek history lesson. So I thought to myself, I should probably read Alias.
So a long, long time ago.
Many moons ago.
Okay.
I really and I've been thinking about this and I've been going and looking back at synopses of like events that I read, and I really can't come up with anything where the Purple Man has played a prominent role. Like, I'm sure he's in the background somewhere of like Secret Wars. But
he is an obscure character, but he has popped up a lot.
I'm not a Daredevil reader though, and I know he was a big Daredevil villain.
He started as a Daredevil villain
before he came into like being an Avengers villain and Jessica Jones kind of arch nemesis.
Which kind of makes sense when you think about these Netflix series, with Daredevil being the first one and Jessica Jones being the second one. So interesting. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to jump into History 101. Ashley, what is History 101?
It is the main meat of the lesson, which this week is purple, which is a little bit unhealthy, where we tell you everything you need to know that makes this character cool.
That's right. And I, as Professor Jason, shall now take control of this classroom and tell you all about Zebediah Killgrave.
With your mind powers and your surprising healing factor?
Now, here we go.
Okay.
According to his own account, and let me tell you one thing, Zebediah Killgrave is just like the Doctor. He lies.
He's not to be trusted.
So,
that's why we cast David Tennant.
Maybe so. We only have his word that this is his origin.
Okay.
Zebediah Killgrave was a spy working for the Soviets who was assigned to invade an American Army ordnance depot and steal a sample of an experimental nerve gas.
Okay.
Now, nerve gas, that's not the let's play around with this gas. That's tough crap. That will screw you up.
Yeah, so presumably, if what he's saying is true, he had a very high security clearance or was like a good spy assassin. Like, he was good at what he did.
He was a commie. That's all we need to know.
So he's right. He's probably high up on the KGB's like top 10 employees.
Now, a military guard came upon Killgrave and fired a shot at him. While he was doing this, which accidentally hit a canister of the nerve gas that he was trying to steal.
Very Joker-esque origin.
Sure. Except he doesn't fall. You'll get to it. The contents of the canister poured out, thus drenching Killgrave, impregnating his skin and dyeing him purple.
I love that you just used the word impregnating.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
Yep. Now, he was caught by the army, and Killgrave offered a weak alibi to his captors, which really, off the top of his head, really shouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But much to his surprise, his captors believed him and released him from his cell and let him go scot-free.
Wow, that's really convenient.
Yep. Now, over the next couple of weeks, Killgrave came across several other examples of people believing anything that he said, and suddenly he figured out that the nerve gas must have given him the superhuman ability to command the wills of people.
So he's kind of like a mix between the Scarlet Witch, who can alter reality, and there's another mutant, and she has pheromone powers, and like everybody likes her or will do what she wants based on the pheromone she's giving off. He's kind of like a weird mix of those two things.
Okay. And so because of his skin was purple, he called himself the Purple Man.
Right.
And he decided to embark on a criminal career.
With a really cool suit.
Yes. But before his criminal career started, Killgrave soon met a woman named Kara, or Kara. I'm going to say Kara. So
with a C or with a K?
K. I'm going to say Kara.
Whatever you want. It's your lesson.
So we get away from Supergirl.
Sure.
He met her in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
Yep.
Because where all great romances take place.
Oh, my bad. I actually miswrote. He actually met a woman named Melanie. Kara's going to come into this in a second.
Melanie.
My bad.
Got it. Melanie.
My bad. Yes. Apology, students. Sometimes teachers get verklempt.
Sometimes teachers make typos.
Yep. He was taken with Melanie's beauty. And on a whim, Killgrave used his superhuman power to induce her to marry him.
Already raising the question of questionable consent.
Well, I'm going to give you a little hint about this lesson right now.
Okay.
One, the Purple Man is not a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he has mind-controlling powers. He likes women. there's going to be some questionable decisions made with his opinion with what he does with women.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, if you were a guy and you had mind control powers, actually, if you were a guy and you had mind control powers, it would probably be a little irresistible not to make a person of the opposite sex do something you wanted them to do. Now, I'm not saying going all the way, but like you might be like, hey, have dinner with me. And, and the woman's like, yes. Okay. So Killgrave.
But from the outside, there's questionable ethics there.
There's a lot of questionable ethics.
But I'm sure, I think you make a really interesting point there, though. I think that anyone would be
tempted,
quote, seduced to try and even just be like, yeah, have coffee with me.
Yes. And it would determine on the type of person you are to how far you went with it. Now, Killgrave, of course, is a villain. We're going to eventually learn that he goes very far with it.
He didn't doom himself to a life of loneliness and shut himself off from society?
No. But there are two things with Killgrave.
Okay.
That's number one.
Okay.
Number two is he goes in and out of prison a lot. And we'll get to that.
Well, supervillain.
This one goes in and out of prison more than the Joker, for God's sake.
Okay.
Oh, God. Okay.
We thought Arkham was bad.
Oh, yeah. The Raft is even worse. Now, okay, so we'll get back to the lesson. He made Melanie marry him. But Killgrave eventually fell in real love with her. And he decided to free her from his mental control, believing that she would genuinely love him as well.
Stupid.
She woke up out of the stupor and was horrified. And she fled to the only place that one person that was controlled by a purple man could feel safe. Toronto, Canada.
F yeah, Toronto! Yay, my homeland! That's amazing. I thought you were going to say like Avengers Manor.
No. Toronto, Canada.
Freaking Toronto. All right, rock on.
Now, Killgrave never went after her. And
that's surprising.
Yep. And months after leaving him, Melanie gave birth to a daughter named Kara.
Okay.
So that's where the name came in.
Is she purple?
When she turned 13...
And all of her hormones kicked in.
Her skin turned purple, and she developed superhuman powers similar to the Purple Man's. Melanie, her mother, told her that her father was the Purple Man, and Kara started calling herself the Purple Girl. And she soon became associated with a Canadian team of superhuman adventurers called Alpha Flight. Ashley, who's Alpha Flight?
Alpha Flight's the Canadian super team.
Yeah, they're basically Canadian X-Men.
Yeah.
And one guy has a Canadian flag as a costume.
Yes, yep. I love that costume.
She's now known as Persuasion.
She's still an Alpha
Is her superhuman name. And
You're blowing my mind.
And she once called herself the Purple Woman. And I believe the last time she was seen in the Marvel Universe was the Fear Itself crossover event.
And
which we'll get to.
If you don't know this, it's fine, because this is not a lesson on her. I just think this is so fascinating. She's largely considered to be a good guy.
She is a hero. She's a hero. Yep. Mainly because she found out who her father is.
I'm so going to go and read all of Alpha Flight now with a totally new perspective on that.
I also am pretty certain that she's in the miniseries Beta Flight that they spun off on too.
Yep.
So there you go. All right. So, Killgrave married a woman. Woman ran to Canada. So Killgrave's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to New York.
That's like Canada. And that's where all of Marvel is.
So he goes to New York, and this is where Daredevil #4 takes place. Now, I read this issue just before we recorded this podcast, or we're recording as we are doing it now, or in the future, however you are.
Future people.
So I want to tell you about this issue because it's interesting.
Okay.
So in the issue, Killgrave walks into a bank, and he's like, give me all your money. And they give him all the money, of course. But as he walks outside the bank, they like kind of wake up and they're like, hey, that guy, he told us to give him his money and we give it. You're like, go arrest him. So they arrest him. Killgrave lets himself go to jail. And the judge is like trying him. And the Purple Man's like, I don't want a lawyer. And the judge is like, you gotta have a lawyer. And he's like, I don't want to have a lawyer. And he's like, but you gotta have a lawyer. It's like, Judge, I don't want a lawyer. And the judge is like, I don't care. You're going to have a lawyer. And that lawyer is going to be named Matt Murdock. So Matt Murdock comes to the courthouse, and he talks to Killgrave in his jail cell. And he's like, look, buddy, we got to talk legal strategy. And then the Purple Man's like, I don't need a lawyer. And
I love your Purple Man voice.
and Matt Murdock's like, what? And the Purple Man's like, I ain't going to be here that long. And he goes, hey, guard, let me out. And the guard lets him out right in front of Matt Murdock. And the Purple Man just like, see ya, and just walks out. And Matt Murdock lets him walk out.
I really hope that in the Netflix series we get some version of that scene. And won't it be so cool to see Charlie Cox and David Tennant talking to each other as two people from the British Isles doing American accents, reenacting the scene?
All right, so Killgrave is now out.
Sure.
And Daredevil, in his old yellow and red costume.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. He chases him down. And the Purple Man says, well, leave me alone. But Daredevil doesn't follow his orders. And Purple Man discovers the first man in his life that is able to be strong enough to resist him.
Dun, dun, dun. All that Catholic guilt is good for something.
And he can only determine that he must have the strength of will to be able to resist. So Purple Man makes everybody on the street mob up and beat the living hell out of Daredevil.
Okay.
And then he walks off. And where does Killgrave go, Ashley? Where do you think Killgrave goes?
I think he goes to jail.
Nope. He walks into a gym, and of course,
boxing gym?
No, like a workout gym.
Okay.
And there are all these like strong men with like big long mustaches,
lifting their trapezoid weights.
Yes, and they're all lifting like dumbbells. And he's like, "You all are gonna be my army," and they're like, "Yeah, we're all gonna be your army
on our penny farthings."
And so he gets like 25 like big bulky dudes in unitards to be his army.
Purple unitards.
And he just walks out into the street and decides to go post up at this hotel. And he's like, I'm going to enjoy this hotel. Eventually, Daredevil tracks him to this hotel. They fight, and Daredevil throws a chemically treated sheet that springs from his billy club out over Purple Man. And because it's chemically treated, that supposedly is the reason why he can't control anybody.
Sure, yeah,
because it stops the chemicals.
Science!
Yep. And he stops the pheromones. And, of course, he's arrested again. And there's a final scene in the book between Karen and Foggy. Karen and Foggy are Matt Murdock's best friends and sidekicks and stuff like that.
And kind of girlfriend.
Yep. And Matt Murdock walks away from his pals, and Foggy and Karen say this. Now, this you'll get. So Foggy says, "There goes one of the greatest guys in the world. A pity he's blind." To which Karen replies, "And yet for some strange reason, I sometimes feel he sees more than any of us. But I guess I'm just a silly female."
Thanks, Stan Lee.
Comics of the 60s, kids.
Yay.
So not only do we we pun the blind, but we pun females as well.
Yeah. We just slap some misogyny in there before the days that's a great first appearance. That's a great story.
It's pretty wacko.
I love that.
And if you have the Marvel Unlimited app, Daredevil #4 is on there, so you can go read that. So back to Killgrave.
Cool.
Killgrave was sent to prison, but he escaped.
With the help of men with trapezoid weights.
Yep. And he made it to San Francisco, California. There he built himself a criminal empire, but of course he was once again opposed and defeated by Daredevil because Daredevil traveled to San Francisco for a time as well.
That's true. I just love that he shows up and all the gay people there are like, "Purple's great. Welcome to the neighborhood."
Purple Man was able to escape Daredevil in San Francisco, and he returned to New York. In New York, he used his power to coerce Maxwell Glenn, who was the head of Glenn Industries, into committing various crimes on his behalf. And this was Purple Man's first step into trying to create a financial empire for himself.
Okay.
They captured Maxwell Glenn, and Maxwell Glenn committed suicide. Now, Daredevil at this time had returned to New York as well, and he learned that Killgrave had forced Glenn to become a criminal, and the crime fighter had a confrontation with Purple Man. And eventually this got him, Purple Man, sent to Rikers Island. But during this confrontation, Killgrave realized that Daredevil was blind and was able to correctly guess that Daredevil was lawyer Matt Murdock.
Well, because I know there's a huge, whatever percentage of the population is blind, but I mean, how many blind people are you going to encounter opposing you in your life? That's a logic leap that you think more people would make. Yep.
Now, their confrontation ended with Killgrave plunged into the sea and seemingly drowned. But Killgrave survived. And this almost drowning, changed his outlook on life. He realized that there was no need for him to engage in criminal conspiracies and battles with costume crime fighters since he could get anything he wanted. Therefore, Killgrave retired from crime and became a gentleman of leisure.
End of lesson. Great job, Jason.
Yeah, thank you. Or so it would seem, because one day a car being used by two underlings of the kingpin of crime, they decided to make a major delivery of narcotics, and they accidentally collided with Killgrave's purple Rolls Royce on a New York City street.
Of course, he has a purple car.
Very angry that they ruined his purple car, Killgrave made the two criminals fight each other, and the police arrived and they confiscated the heroin. This, of course, made the Kingpin not very happy.
I can imagine.
And so he had Killgrave brought to him, but the Purple Man tried to use his powers against the Kingpin. And it didn't work. The Kingpin had too strong of will. But the Kingpin forced the Purple Man to aid him in selling a death trap for various New York-based costume crime fighters. Yep. And due to the increase in Purple Man's power over time, which is what happened, the more the Purple Man uses his power, the stronger he gets, the more people he's able to control.
Right.
And the longer he's able to control.
Like you're flexing a muscle.
Exactly. So it is just like a muscle. He uses it over time and he gets more powerful for it. So Daredevil was no longer able to resist his power. Plus, the Purple Man was using a sound system that amplified his voice, so it made it even worse.
Oh, wow.
Yep. During the fight, the Moon Knight showed up, and he was wearing earplugs, so he could not hear Purple Man's voice, and he was able to make Purple Man unconscious, and Killgrave was taken back into police custody.
Wearing earplugs doesn't seem like the sanest choice for a superhero.
No. But the Moon Knight is the multiple personality superhero.
He's a crazy person.
And he's all in white and stuff like that. But then, after his time in prison, because of course he escaped, again, Killgrave encountered a villain that was way out of his league. Okay. Any guesses? A Marvel villain that's way out of Killgrave's league.
Galactus?
Too far. He was captured by Dr. Doom. Now, Dr. Doom imprisoned Killgrave in a giant, now go with me on this, psycho prism. This is actually what it was called, that he constructed on Doom Island. And Doom magnified the Purple Man's will-sapping power and manipulated it to make himself the master of Earth. So everyone on Earth would be under the Purple Man's power because he amplified it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Initially, everyone on Earth was compelled by the Purple Man's power to obey Doom, and thus this helped Doom succeed in capturing a number of the crime-fighting superheroes. But due to his unusual and probably energy-like form physiology, the Avenger Wonder Man, who was the Simon, the star with the sunglasses, he was unaffected, and he was able to free Captain America from Doom's mental control, who in turn freed Hawkeye, who in turn freed Iron Man, who in turn freed the Wasp, and basically we have an Avengers team. And
wow, so 4 people later, we finally free a woman. That's nice.
And together they all freed the captured superheroes. And then the ace in the hole, the movie mogul himself, this Submariner, was so infuriated by being enslaved by Dr. Doom that Namor smashed the Psychoprism, therefore both killing Killgrave and freeing the world from Doom's control.
Interesting.
Or so at the time.
Or so it appeared.
Or so it appeared, yes.
Because comics.
Yep. And that was all in Emperor Doom.
Cool.
But then the Purple Man, Killgrave himself, interacted with a character that is beloved by me and was instrumental to the X-Men in the 90s. But before that, we must first move past the mind control and help get support for this podcast, Ashley.
Yes, we must.
Because at patreon.com/Jawiin, Jawiin, is where you can go to support this podcast. Did you know, Ashley, you can get episodes of Geek History Lesson early?
What?
Yes. And you can get the Patreon exclusive podcast, Geek History Lesson Extra, every week. So there's like 20 more minutes about every subject we do on the Patreon.
20 more minutes of Purple Man.
But for the month of November, we're doing something special. We're going to give every one of our Patreons a gift for the holidays. And it's an exclusive print. But if you're one of our special $15 donors, and you sign up, say you're not one of our $15 donors.
Say I donate $5.
Well, just relax.
Sure.
If say you are one of our special $15 donors,
okay,
you will get a special holiday crate. But if you're not one of our $15 donors, you can sign up before the end of November and you can get this really cool box full of cool stuff. It's going to have a toy. It's going to have a couple of comic books in it. It's going to have a trade paperback in it. It's going to have some Geek History Lesson tea, maybe a Geek History Lesson magnet, an exclusive print, and more. So we're trying to do a big push before the end of the year because we're trying to get more support because we have an idea for another podcast. We
have some big plans.
And we have some big plans and we need your support. So here's what I'm telling you. If you cannot afford $15 a month, I totally understand. Like $1 is totally enough support, but you still want the crate. This is what I say to you. Donate $15 in November and then change back to your $1 donation. It's perfectly fine. Don't mind it, and you'll still get the cool box. You just reduce it. It's all good. We won't mind it here. Every dollar helps, but if you want this really cool crate, you better sign up to the $15 donor level before the end of November. Patreon.com/Jawiin, Jawiin. You get lots of cool stuff, and it helps keep the lights on in the Geek History lesson manner.
From our Mind University to yours.
Yes. Does that all make sense? Does it understand, student Ashley?
I do understand, Professor Jason.
Patreon.com/Jawiin. And now we have to meet the character that I love that Killgrave affected.
Dun, dun, dun.
Any guesses?
Dupe.
Dupe is not a 90s character.
Dupe is an X character.
But he's not a 90s character.
The guy with the M.
Bishop?
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about X-Man, Nate Gray.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Now, Nate Gray is the alternate reality version of Cable, Cyclops and Jean Grey's son. And in the storyline Age of Apocalypse, where basically Apocalypse took over, he was the Cable in that universe. Well, after that event ended, he survived into our world, and he was basically a Cable that was fully powered. So he was the most powerful mutant on the world.
Yes.
Which I love. I love that series. I think it's great, and I have a special fondness for Nate Gray. So when Nate Gray came to New York, he was sort of, he sort of became a celebrity because he would go to a park and he could read. People would ask him for advice. He was like a psychic mutant Frasier.
Great. Love it.
So he would sit in a park and people would ask them for help, and he would read their mind and be able to figure out
what was wrong with them?
Exactly. He'd be able to figure out perfectly what was wrong with it, or he'd be able to see the situation they were talking about, and he'd be able to give them like basically perfect advice.
And he would say, "I'm listening."
I'm listening. Good mental health. But soon it was revealed that Killgrave was the mastermind behind his sudden celebrity status as a miracle worker, because Killgrave had been subtly manipulating people into thinking X-Man was a messiah.
That's a little extreme.
Well, he believed that by doing this, Nate would use his vast mutant powers to improve the planet, who would then become so psychologically empowered by hero worship that he could and would literally change the reality of the world using his full potential of his mutant power. And thus, Killgrave could use that to his advantage, because if you have a mutant that could alter the world, and you have a mutate that can alter that mutant, that's pretty powerful ace in the hole you got there. Right there.
Wow, geez.
Nate soon discovered what was happening, and he didn't like that. So they fought, and Killgrave used his powers and a few mercenaries to destroy Nate's popularity and branded him as a terrorist.
That escalated quickly.
Well, Nate actually got the last laugh because he made all of New York forget that he ever existed.
Okay, and that's another way to write him out of continuity, I guess.
There you go. And then Killgrave discovered a superhero known as Jewel. Who's that, Ashley? Who's Jewel? Jewel
is the superheroic persona of Jessica Jones, star of the upcoming Netflix series.
Yeah. Now, the superhero Jewel, Jessica Jones, she found a fight breaking out in a restaurant, and she discovered that Killgrave was in that restaurant and had told the men to fight. Killgrave then overpowered Jessica's will and told her to take care of the police so that he could finish his meal, which she did. And then he took control of Jessica Jones, the then superhero known as Jewel, prisoner at a 5-star hotel. And she stayed in his control for a period of 8 months. And he made her believe her life was a comic book and the audience was her loyal readers, and that every time he made her strip for him, she was taking off her clothes for the comic book audience.
Yeah.
Now,
it gets a little meta.
Yes, and there are more details to this, but we're not going to go into all those details right now.
Nope.
Because why, Ashley?
Because Jewel, aka Jessica Jones, is the star of next week's Geek History lesson.
That's right. So we're going to go more in depth on Jessica Jones next week in all Alias, and so you'll learn all. We're only going to touch about it here. We're not going to go fully on there. So
that's the big drama that I'm going to be talking about.
Now, eventually, Jessica Jones was able to escape his control when the Avengers interceded, and she became a private investigator. Jessica Jones was shortly contacted by Kim Rourke, who wanted to hire Jessica to find a man named Killgrave, which, of course, she knew who that was.
Yep.
When she visited Kim's home, she found a large gathering of 34 people that were recently killed in a restaurant when Killgrave told them to stop breathing.
Can you imagine? Like, stop, breathe. That's so evil.
Yeah, it's pretty evil. He is, and this is the point where Killgrave is starting to be retconned by Brian Michael Bendis to be a true villain.
Yeah.
Because Alias was a Max series, was a mature reader series.
And it very much is, from the language to the context to the characterization.
Yes. Now, this led Killgrave to be in prison at the Raft again. He's back at the Raft. He's back in prison.
Being a rafty.
And Jessica Jones questioned Killgrave while another person watched from a security booth. And Jessica demanded that Killgrave admit to one of the many murders that he's never been charged with. But Killgrave continued to insist that Jessica Jones is just a character and a story, and that she craves the approval of her readers. She finally gave up and left. However, when she returned to Kim's home, she learned that there had been a riot at the Raft and Killgrave had escaped.
Aww.
So Killgrave began to torment Jessica Jones again, which Ashley will tell you in more detail next week.
I will.
And which I assume this is what the main thrust of the TV series is going to be about.
One would assume, given the fact that they are marketing David Tennant as much as they are, I understand that given...
And sorry to interrupt.
Please?
That all the teaser trailers and posters have a purple color to them.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that, like, from a marketing standpoint, given the popularity of Doctor Who, of course, you want to try to sell it on him, because I think he's a bigger star than
Kristen
whatever
Ritter. Kristen Ritter.
Yeah. The B from Apartment 23.
Yep.
But yeah, you would think that if they're going to sell it that much on him, that is going to be the main arc of the story, the way that the Wilson Fisk storyline was for Daredevil.
Mm-hmm. Now we're going to talk about the new Avengers storyline. So Purple Man is back on the Raft. Listen, Purple Man...
The Raft's got some leaks.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Writers can't decide whether he's in prison or out prison.
Yeah.
So, like, he just pops, like, oh, he's arrested, off panel. Oh, he escaped, off panel. Oh, he's arrested, off panel. Oh, he's arrested. You know, like, it's very unclear. So
like, at least with the Joker, he usually starts in Arkham and breaks out over the course of the story.
Nope. So Killgrave's back in prison.
Okay.
When Electro created a riot at the Raft, Killgrave tried to mind control Luke Cage into killing the Avengers and threatening his wife and his unborn child. However, Killgrave had been given drugs in his food that could negate his powers. So Luke Cage smiled and then beat him into a pulp.
Sweet Christmas.
Yep. Sweet Christmas, Purple Man. And then the Purple Man escaped again.
Right.
And he targeted the Thunderbolts, and he was quickly defeated. And then Killgrave was able to use the Civil War incident to take over a squad of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and hovercraft to escape to Canada, because I think he had mind reception from his wife to be like, oh, Toronto, that's the place to go.
Right? Like 20 years later.
I'm totally making that up. He was then stopped by a U.S. agent who was a replacement Captain America, who managed to push him off the craft and injure him in the process. After that, Killgrave took over a casino in Las Vegas, and he was recruited to join the Hood's gang. The Hood was this Brian K. Vaughan character who basically wears a hood and is demonic. Great miniseries, by the way, The Hood. Great miniseries. And the Hood tried to offer him seed money to expand his empire. But then, guess what, Ashley?
What, Jason?
He went back to prison at the Raft again.
Oh, goodness me.
Yep. And he was one of the inmates used by the Avengers Academy as part of their Scared Straight program. Their instructor, Tigra, warned the students not to look at the Purple Man's face or his lips.
Oh, I remember that.
And Hazmat, one of the Avengers Academy students, accidentally caused a power outage, allowing Killgrave and a group of mind-controlled inmates to escape. They then came across a lone Luke Cage, who was now at the time the leader of the Thunderbolts, and I love the Thunderbolts. They're basically the criminal team. And believe me, we'll eventually get to that lesson. I love me some Thunderbolts.
I just think it's so interesting that Luke Cage is sometimes a criminal.
Yep. And Luke Cage easily defeats Killgrave and the inmates, revealing that the nanites used to control the Thunderbolts also shield them all from Killgrave's influence.
Ah.
And then Fear itself happened. Ashley, can you tell us anything about Fear itself?
Is Fear itself the one with all the Thor hammers?
Yep.
So a bunch of Mjolnirs fall to Earth, and some people can pick them up and some people can't.
And when they pick them up, they turn into monsters?
Yep.
And it was Marvel's copy of Blackest Night.
Yes, it was.
All right.
It's not as good.
It was nowhere near as good.
I remember the Hulk picks up a hammer.
Well, the only thing you need to know about this event is that this event allowed Purple Man to escape from the raft again.
Thank God.
Yep. When Juggernaut, who had picked up one of the hammers and became Kurth, Breaker of Stone.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Killgrave eventually tried to make a new criminal empire with a bunch of other villains, and he battled Misty Knight. He was defeated again, and most recently he has shown up in Mark Waid's Daredevil, and this is an interesting storyline.
Please.
Killgrave tried to form a new group of criminals based off all the illegitimate children from all his, let's say, affairs over the year. They called them the Purple Children. He gathered them all in one place because they all had the same abilities as him.
That's an interesting idea.
Eventually, they turned against him.
Yay.
And him and Daredevil had to fight against the Purple Children. Eventually, Daredevil
really?
stopped it. Yeah, it's a very interesting story.
Are they young or are they like adults? Do you know?
They're like 8 to 10.
Oh, that's cool.
And they all have they all have light purple skin.
Yeah, like lavender.
But they all have like white eyes.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
And they can control people as well. And they're almost stronger than him because they're a group. They're a consciousness.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, they're like a Borg collective.
Yep. And that was the last time he was seen in the comics. In other media, as we said earlier, David Tennant is playing him in the upcoming Jessica Jones series, or if it's on right now, hey, cool.
Hello, future people.
And the Purple Man has also appeared in the classic 90s X-Men cartoon. And he appeared in
Did he really?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
And he appeared in the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is my favorite Avengers cartoon. Mm-hmm. And it was, of course, a breakout of the raft. And fun fact, he was voiced by Brent Spiner. Data from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, now there's part of me that's a little bit sad that Brent Spiner's not playing him in the show.
Oh.
Like, I know David Tennant's like younger and I guess sexier.
David Tennant will do a fine job, though.
I just really like Brent Spiner. David Tennant will be great. He'll be totally great.
Brent Spiner would have been good in the early 2000s to play him.
He's too old now.
Yes,
he's definitely too old.
Yep. Yeah. And that's it for our lesson of the Purple Man.
Great job.
So let's move on to recommended reading, where we tell you some stuff you should read if you want to know about the Purple Man. It's basically two things. Alias, which we'll talk about more, and The Pulse, which is the
follow-up.
The follow-up to Alias. That's about it.
And apparently that Daredevil story, because it sounds really freaking cool.
Daredevil number 4. Well, you know, if you want to check out on the Marvel Unlimited app, they also have the Purple Children storyline. It's the most recent issues of Daredevil. And it's very easy to figure out which one it is because there's a cover with all the Purple Children on it.
Oh, great.
So there you go. Before we move on, I thought it'd be fun to tell you, because the Purple Man's a color villain. There are a lot of color characters in comic books.
Yes, there are.
I thought it'd be funny to tell you some of the colored heroes
of many colors.
Yes. Of DC and Marvel.
Cool.
Give you their name, and I want you to just
guess what they do,
or guess who they are.
Okay.
Just anything. It doesn't matter. Just have fun with it.
Okay.
You ready? Here we go.
Sure.
The Purple Pilgrim.
The Purple Pilgrim travels back and forth from Europe to the New World, ferrying refugees from war-torn countries.
I like your thing.
But it's wrong.
Well, actually, I could find no information about the Purple Pilgrim. He's appeared in the New 52, but I couldn't find a description of him, but he's a DC character.
Maybe he's just mentioned.
So let's just go with yours.
Cool.
The Purple Spy.
The Purple Spy is James Bond's gay alter ego.
I like that as well, because the only information I could find about the Purple Spy is that he's from Earth S, and he's an old DC character.
Okay.
Yep.
This is fun.
Yep. Now we're going to move into Marvel.
Okay.
Little Red.
Little Red is an assassin who dresses up like Little Red Riding Hood and cosplays as Merida on the weekends.
Again, I like your version better. He's actually a runner who worked for Manny the Mobster.
Manny the Mobster.
Okay. Who is the Red Ghost?
The Red Ghost is an alternate reality version of the Red Tornado.
No, Ashley. No, he is not. Because if you had listened to my Fantastic Four Geek History lesson, you would know that he's the Fantastic Four villain with the talking apes.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yep.
That's so great.
All right, let's see if you know this guy. The Red Skull.
Do you want who the Red Skull actually is?
Yeah, come on.
The Red Skull is Captain America's.
If you know who they are,
head of Hydra Nazi guy.
The ultimate Nazi.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if you know this character. I know you've read the storyline. Let's see if you remember this character.
Oh, crap.
The Red King.
I have.
These are all Marvel characters from.
I have read that story. But I'm going to say that the Red King is the successor to the Yellow King.
From True Detective.
Yeah.
No. The Red King is the Emperor of Sakaar, the planet where Hulk becomes a gladiator in Planet Hulk. Yep.
Yeah,
what about the Red Wolf?
I don't know who the Red Wolf is. The Red Wolf is Robb Stark.
The Red Wolf is a Native American guy with a wolf skin on top of his head.
Oh, he just got a new series that Nathan Edmonds
did he really?
is writing, and everyone's
okay.
really upset about.
I actually like to call him the walking cliche.
I don't know if his series started, but I remember they announced that. Yes.
Oh, cool. And finally, I want you to tell me, Eric the Red, Eric with a K.
Eric the Red is a Viking, a Viking conqueror with a red beard.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. History.
No.
Scientific fact.
No, he is Davin Shakari, who is a Shi'ar agent in Emperor Deken's Hand on Earth, or a spacey X-Men character.
I'm not wrong. Nina Friel will tell me that I'm not wrong.
You are wrong.
I'm not wrong. I was really hoping you were going to softball me the Rainbow Rider, a Rainbow Raider in Red Tornado.
No. There you go. I wanted to stick to two colors, and since red is of Daredevil and purple is a Purple Man, that's why I stuck with those characters, because he's a Daredevil character.
Oh, that's smart.
Because you could keep going. You could keep going like Green Arrow and Red and Yellow, whatever. You just keep
Red
going.
Arrow.
There's so many color characters in comics. So that's something a little bit more to pad out our lesson.
Cool.
Since the Purple Man's history is rather short. And that's it.
I mean, it's not Rocket Raccoon short.
No. And let's move on to the teaching tweet. Ashley, what is the teaching tweet?
A teaching tweet is when in 140 characters or less, you sum up everything that you just told us about the Purple Man.
Yep.
And we sometimes remember to actually tweet them.
Yep. Sometimes we do. Mostly we don't. Okay, here you go.
Unless they're requested.
I'm going to do this in a voice because it will help sell the tweet.
Okay.
He's in prison. He's out of prison. Pick a location and go with it. Purple Man. That is my teaching tweet of the Purple Man.
That was spectacular.
I just when I went through the lesson, that's the thing that hit on me the most was that
God,
he's just in and out of prison, prison.
Okay. I hope that in the Jessica Jones series, at every episode, it changes whether he's in or out of prison.
He's like, wait, how'd you get in jail? I don't know. And
don't worry about it.
There's no explanation. Okay, so that is it for our lesson of Zebediah Killgrave, the Purple Man. You heard next week we're going to be conquering Jessica Jones.
Yes, we are.
Yes, and all her sundries and all the stuff like that, and we'll delve more into...
There are definitely sundries.
Oh, there are a lot of sundries. So, thank you all for listening. Don't forget you can go to iTunes and Stitcher, and you can subscribe to this podcast, and please go over there and leave us a rating and review because it helps other listeners find the podcast like you. I actually read the reviews, and I think they're quite enjoyable, so I really appreciate it. Ashley, where can they find us on social media and suggest future lessons?
They can find us on facebook.com/geekhistorylesson and geekhistorylesson.com. Every possible way to contact us in both of those places is open and allowable.
Yes, and you can find me on Twitter at Jawiin, Jawiin, and you can find Ashley on Twitter where?
At Ashley V. Robinson.
That's right, and don't forget patreon.com/Jawiin, Jawiin. That's where you can get Geek History Lesson Extra. We're going to be talking more Purple Man over there, exclusive to Patreon, and you can get the Holiday Crate, which all the cool stuff if you're a $15 patron. Thank you all to all the patrons that do it. Thank you all for listening so much. We hope this was enjoyable for you. I'm Jason Inman.
I am Ashley Victoria Robinson, and Professor Jason, please take us away.
I'm out of prison. I'm in prison. Pick a podcast prison and go with it.